What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on Red Type Politics channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I'm going to be doing my somewhat updated presidential map. This will come out later. I am taking this video on the 22nd of October. This will come out November 1st. And just before my actual final map, I'm doing one more just because we do have more data in for this. So I'm going to be proving these 7 swing states. For usual, my states that I have as either lean likely will be put. Same thing with the safe states. So let me fill that out really quickly. It's not really that bad of these states just because it is the same ones that I've been doing for most of my duration on my channel. But yeah. So, for this map, I'm just going to be showing the 7 swing states that we have for this election cycle, which, of course, is Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Or, in the 2 categories, Sun Belt and Rust Belt. We'll start out with the Sun Belt, with the state of Georgia. With early and mail-in ballots. Right now, 1,695,005 mail-in and early in-person votes have been casted with a Republican advantage. Right now, Republicans have a +2 advantage when Democrats led in 2020. Democrats led this aggregate in 2020, which is showing that we're seeing already a shift to the right within early voting. Same thing can be said about the RCP aggregate that has Trump up by 2.5 percentage points when at the start of the month it was around a point and lower. I think at the lowest point it was 0.5% on October 13th through the 10th. So with this category, I'll be placing Georgia in the lean column for Donald Trump. And I've had the state as lean for quite a while. Just because Georgia is one of the easiest flips for Donald Trump. And I don't think that if he's going to win, he needs Georgia to win. Because if the thing is, if he gets North Carolina, which brings him to 251, he needs 19 short. So this is an easy path for him. So he does need Georgia in order to win this election. So it's a key state for him. We'll move on to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a little bit of a tricky one, but I will explain this one. So, Pennsylvania is one of those states where Democrats usually do it. And actually, I do have the map. If I can pull it up. I don't think I can. But I'll just show you guys poly market for a minute. So, if you guys see, Trump has a 62% chance of winning. Democrats 40%, which is a little weird because that does go to 102%. But it's okay. So, right now, Trump is an overall favorite right now in the state after being near tied for the longest of times. With early voting going underway, the state is interesting. I'm just going to do this by east to west coast. I know I said I'll start in the Sun Belt. That's okay. You're seeing a lot of these developments in the state that does show Republican advantage. The issue with this state is the early voting is a little bit better for Democrats. Yet, I do have to say, Republicans did flip a lot of counties for early voting. They did. I think they have 20-something counties now. In 2020, they had less than double digits. So, I'll give it narrowly to Trump. I'm gonna give it to him by a tilt margin. Which, by the way, I do have a tilt margin now. I did my own color. Hope you guys like it. Looks like a brownish red color. That means it's narrowly for Trump. Let's go to North Carolina. So we'll start out with the RCP aggregate. By the way, Trump's up by 0.8% in Pennsylvania. And then after that, I will talk about the difference from 2020 to now. So for North Carolina, Trump's up by 0.4%. You're seeing a little bit more polls for Harris. The issue is this state had Biden up by 1.8 and had Clinton up by 2.9. Which, let's go back to 2016 and then we'll go to Most of the time, it was Clinton. Even at a good moment, it was like Clinton plus 3 or Clinton, yeah, like more than Clinton plus 3. So it just shows, like even at 0.8, where Trump's at 0.4. He won the state in 2016 at 3.6. Let's go back to 2020. So if we go back, not to 2020, sorry, 2020 right here, Biden in this day in history was up by 1.8 percentage points. Trump won the state by 1.3. So, if we're talking about this day in history, Trump is estimated to win the state by around 3 to 2 percentage points, which is where I have him. Which is why I'm going to give Trump the state, and he already gets the election. This is what I've been talking about in a lot of my videos. It is super easy for Trump to win, but for Kamala to win, she needs to go through this whole hassle with the Rust Belt. She needs to win all of them, which she's not favored in really 2 of the states. Really all 3, but one is more interesting than the other. But, yeah. So Trump already wins. So that means it doesn't matter if Kamala literally picks up everything. She still loses, which proves my point. Not Iowa. It proves my point. It is getting harder and harder each day for her to win. And I know I might seem biased. You guys can disagree with me. But TPC also did move his model towards Trump. So, even with a left-wing YouTubers having Kamala up for the longest time, now flipping Pennsylvania back to Trump and having a lot of these states flip, Arizona and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania flip, that means Trump is already gaining a lot of momentum. Even with the poly market aggregate, in this case, he's up by like 30 points. So, it just shows that Trump is doing well. Yes, he was at 65. Cry about it. But it just shows Trump's doing well. And it also affects the Senate. 85% chance of winning. Bernie Moreno has taken the lead after Brown has been up. Look at that. Look at the surge. Let's go to a month. The surge that we've had from this race is genuinely crazy. Last time we saw that was when Biden dropped out. It is genuinely crazy to think that in this state where we're 2 weeks away from the election, we're seeing these massive Trump surges. But we'll move on. Let's go to Arizona, the state of Arizona, which I consider to be one of Trump's best swing states. So I've talked about this before. The swing state of Maricopa County that would be hard for Trump to do is seeming easier. Because there's one very good demographic for Trump that a lot of people are not noticing, in Arizona especially. The white working class and the black voters. There's a poll that came out, and it showed on Fox News, that has Trump doing 20-something% better with black voters. If you're doing that better with a demographic, it's going to be extremely hard for you to win states like Michigan. States like Georgia, states like Nevada, really. Even, I'll go even on a limb and say Virginia in some places, but I do have Virginia going to Harris. But if you're not doing good with demographics, it is harder for you to win. Especially states like Wisconsin, with the white working class, with some parts in Arizona and Georgia and North Carolina. A lot of these demographics that are shifting right. Especially in early voting. If you actually go to early voting, I'll click on a state. Since we're on Pennsylvania, we'll do Pennsylvania. For example, if you go to gender, women, but then we have Republicans doing a little bit better compared to 2020. Georgia might be a better example, though. Republicans are leading. But then we go to gender, it's all women. And then voter type, in person, only 60% mail-in. But then we have age, which is interesting. It is spread. So it's just showing a lot of these demographics. Harris is not doing well. And I know Georgia doesn't vote by party registration. But it's a data that is interesting because Republicans do have an advantage. It's interesting. So, with Michigan, I consider Republicans doing pretty well. I know some things are showing that Michigan is a little bit better for Democrats, which I will agree. It is one of Harris's best swing states, in my opinion. I know that might be a little controversial to some other YouTubers, which I will not state because it's legal. But if you're looking at 1.1 million ballots casted with mail-in and early in-person. I'll do the same thing. We'll go to age. It is mostly 65 and over. It's not as spread as Georgia. Gender, around the same demographic. More women than men are voting. And then voter type, almost all mail-in. That's the difference. It's all mail-in in Michigan. Do I know the reason? Well, Michigan does like to vote by mail-in sometimes. We saw that in 2020. This state is interesting. I would have told you, like, in August, like, mid-August, that Harris was going to 100% win the state when I had Trump at 276 or something like that. But at this moment, especially with Arab voters, we're seeing some of these polls, Trump doing a little better with Arabs, him doing better with a lot of these demographics. I don't know how to feel about this state. It's like the Senate in Wisconsin, really. It's a coin flip. But since it is harder, I'm going to narrowly give it to Harris. It can go either way. It will go either way. It doesn't really matter. It can go to Trump. It might. There's a possibility where we can pull a 2016 against a national vote by 3 points to the right. That would give him the state. But with 3 states left, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada, Trump already has a presidency. He's at 270. Kamala Harris is at 241. With Wisconsin seems really good for Republicans now. Actually, I'll reword that. It looks better for Republicans than 2020. Of course, we saw these races come out, especially with these polls that are coming out in the Senate, the presidential, with Trump doing way better. Which hurts Kamala, of course, with these demographics. Like I said, she needs to do better with white working class. That does not seem to be. And if you're looking at the demographics on my screen, it is a little bit split. Mostly 65 and over. And we do have an unknown, which is interesting. But it's mostly women as well. But then we have Democrats have 14%, and then the other having a lead, which is interesting. But just because of polling, if you look back, Biden was up by like 5. Clinton was up by nearly 7. Let's go. Actually, I'll show you. We'll look at it. See that? Trump never led. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 polls out of the entire aggregate in Wisconsin that had Trump up. Now, there's way more. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tied polls. Mind you, I would throw some out of here. I would throw some polls out of here. Like Bloomberg. That was an outlier. I would also throw Marquette out of there, although it's not the worst. Most of these polls have it within a close race, and if you know Wisconsin polling, it is usually very off. Same thing can be said in Wisconsin in 2016, although it was a little better for Trump, like you saw 3.5%. But Trump never led a poll here. Like we saw the Marquette, Clinton plus 16. What happened? Trump won the state. You're seeing 7% to the right within the aggregate. So, with that being said, I'm going to give the state to Trump, which brings him to 280. This is probably one of the better Rust Belt states for him. I have it around 0.7% for him. Pennsylvania is, of course, on top just because of our early voting being way better for Republicans now. Like I said, they're doing better with counties. That one's around 0.85. Michigan is probably one of the closer states. That one is around 0.3 for Harris. That's like I said, coin toss. Same thing can be said, really, for all these states, but it's kind of harder. Now we have the 2 western states, Arizona and Nevada. So, with Nevada, This data, it's tied. It's tied. Democrats were leading. Also, Republicans were leading. Now it's tied. You've seen this a lot. And I know it's kind of ironic that Trump's leading right now, but it's kind of a good indicator. Look back. It was spot on. Yes, I know there was polls during the end that had it. That's why it was the same. That's why it was spot on. But still, look back. Sorry about that. Look back to this date. October 22nd, Biden was up by 5.2. Then, Clinton. We'll go to Clinton. This one had Trump up. Now that part is interesting. If you look back, then again, Clinton plus 4.7. That is the part about this that is interesting. We're seeing a tied vote in Nevada. But then we go to the poly market, which, by the way, I don't endorse. If you spend your money wisely, I'm not going to endorse poly market because it's a betting site and I don't want to get demonetized. But 63% for Trump. I would have said back in, like, July that this state was really good. As you see, Trump plus 8.4. Biden was in the low 40s. Now it has narrowed. We're seeing Trump doing better. So, with that being said, we've seen this every single cycle. Democrats do better with Election Day, which is why I'm narrowly going to give it to Harris. That's probably a pretty hot take right now. I'm going to give it to Harris just to the fact that it is Nevada. We saw the same issue in 2022, which pissed me off just because I do think Adam Laxalt would have won if Republicans turned out to early vote. I don't know. Yes, it is a little ironic. A lot of early votes. Still, I do think Democrats will do better on election night. That's my opinion. Arizona's not that difficult. Trump's up by 1.8. If you look back, Clinton was up by 1.5. Biden was up by 3.2. Kamala Harris led for a singular day in the aggregate. Now, Trump's up by nearly 2. He's been pretty consistent. So, with that being said, I'm just going to be very easy. Give it to Trump by a lean margin. So, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting map. I think you're seeing this map quite a bit. It's probably consistency. But again, 291 to 247. Then again, we could see the glorious 306 to 232. But in this moment, I do not think that's going to happen. I just think Harris does have a little bit of an advantage in Michigan. I could be wrong. This is going to be updated by November 4th. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like seeing these videos, we're probably hitting an average now. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. And Red Tie out.